darkest night, yet thought I knew the way, the sin that promised joy in life had led.
Every time the seasons change, at least I am reminded of God's faithfulness, that His mercies indeed are new every morning, that He is good to us, that He provides for our needs, and that He sustains creation as the leaves begin to, and their colors begin to change. Let us be reminded of God's goodness and His faithfulness in our lives. This morning we will once again dig deep into the passage, Revelation, and it's not easy once more, but by God's grace, hopefully we can get to the bottom of this nation, Babylon, and what it means and why Jesus will cause Babylon to fall before He returns. Since I've never actually gotten drunk before, I had to Google what happens when your body gets drunk. Perhaps some here can speak as an expert on the topic. According to iflscience.com, your body responds to alcohol as if you've taken a very nasty poison, and it's geared to get rid of it. The liver begins the process of breaking the alcohol down. I passed over all the difficult words, the scientific words. I just skipped to the conclusion. If you drink more alcohol than your liver can process, then the process of getting drunk begins. End quote. Alcohol also reduces our inhibitions and will release a little dopamine. Am I saying that correctly? Dopamine? Alcohol is known to increase the effects of, I'm probably going to butcher this, inhibitory transmitter gamma aminobutyric acid, called GABA, in the brain. GABA is a neurotransmitter that dampens responses. This causes the sluggish movements and impaired speech that alcohol is known for. So this isn't the time when you're drunk to make important decisions. This is because alcohol depresses the behavioral inhibitory centers in the cerebral cortex, making you more likely to do things that you wouldn't do if you were sober. So alcohol, in other words, dulls our senses so that we cannot make otherwise sensible decisions. So that we shouldn't drink and drive because our senses and our reactions are slow. And we become a safety hazard to the rest of the drivers on the road. We cannot think and respond quickly enough. And similarly, John tells us this morning that God's judgment will fall upon idolatrous unbelievers before the end of the world precisely because they are drunk. That is Babylon, which figuratively refers to the worldly financial system, as I will try to show this morning, has served unbelievers with the alcohol of financial success so that the unbelievers have become drunk from excessively drinking it. Their drunkenness predictably has dulled their senses so that they cannot make the rational decision of treasuring Jesus over and above earthly wealth. If we were sober at all, we would never choose money over Jesus. The fact that we would make such a baffling decision to treasure money over Jesus indicates that we must be drunk out of our minds. We are not rational. Our senses are dulled. So the unbelievers make irrationally drunken and foolishly this decision of rejecting Jesus to accept health and wealth over him. For this reason, God will cause Babylon, which again I think refers to the worldly financial system, and those drinking from Babylon to be destroyed before Jesus returns. The sermon's title appropriately this morning is The Fall and folly of financial idolatry. So I hope you see the alliteration here. They're all F's, right? Fall, folly, and financial. I don't know what idolatry is with F, so I just put idolatry. The fall, folly, and financial idolatry. Revelation highlights for us the drunken foolishness of choosing money over Jesus by pointing out emphatically that Christ himself will cause Babylon to fall. The fall of Babylon, firstly, as we shall see this morning, is the fall of idolatry. And the Old Testament background makes this clear. In Revelation chapter 14, verse 8, there we read, "And another angel, a second, followed, saying, Fallen, fallen is the great Babylon." This specific phrase, fallen, fallen Babylon, alludes to Isaiah 21, verse 9, where Yahweh will judge Babylon precisely because of idolatry. The Lord will judge Babylon because of her idolatry. In verse 9, we see it there clearly, and he answered, Fallen, fallen is Babylon. You see the exact phrase there? And all the carved images of her gods. Why is Babylon going to fall? Because of her gods, of her idolatry. He is shattered to the ground. Thus, the fall of Babylon is also the fall of idolatry. To say that Babylon will fall is another way of saying idolatry will also fall. The idolatry attachment to Babylon is even more apparent with the unique way the angel calls Babylon. Babylon is called the Great Babylon, which is uniquely taken also from the Old Testament. In particular, Daniel chapter 4, verse 30. Here we read, "Is not this great Babylon," the exact same phrase, "which I have built by my and for the glory of my majesty." Now, if you read this, you would think, this is Yahweh, right? This is the Lord talking. The Lord made Babylon. The Lord made Babylon great for the Lord's glory and majesty, right? If you say that, then you're wrong. If you read the passage, this is not Yahweh talking. This is King Nebuchadnezzar talking. He's boasting. He says, "I have made Babylon great. Babylon is for my glory, for my majesty. People should worship me. I am God." Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego worship me. I am king over the nations. There's only one God. I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Israel, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. There's only one God. You shall have no other gods before me. And here comes Nebuchadnezzar. I am God. Idolatry. So what does the Lord do to Nebuchadnezzar? He humiliates him. He mocks him. You're not God. You're not even a man. I'm going to turn you into a beast. So the Lord causes him to grow furs and claws and fangs, and he no longer stood on 2 feet. He began to crawl on 4 limbs. He was humbled. He ate with the cows. He realized, I'm not even a man, let alone God. I'm just like a cow. Babylon is great not because of Nebuchadnezzar. Babylon is great because Yahweh allowed Babylon to be great. So the fall of Babylon is the fall of idolatry. That which we take security in, that which we treasure above Jesus, will inevitably crumble and implode before Jesus returns. But why would Revelation say fallen twice? Well, this is very common in the Hebrew language. To repeat it is to indicate certainty. For instance, we see in Genesis chapter 41, verse 32, Pharaoh's dream being repeated twice. That is, he will know that this is from God and that it will be real, and so that God will hasten to do it. So to repeat something is to emphasize it, to make it clear that it is certain. We saw this in the creation account. When God created the heavens and the earth, after He created Adam and Eve, it says, and the heaven and earth was tov, tov. It was good, good. So in the English translations we have very good. When God told Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for on the day that you eat of it, you will surely die. In the original language, it says you will die. It's certain. Babylon's demise, fall. It is certain. Idolatry will crumble before the presence of the Lord. Generally, the fall of Babylon is the fall of idolatry. Specifically, I will try to show you that the fall of Babylon is the fall of financial security. It's the fall of financial idolatry itself. In Revelation chapter 14, verse 8, let's read once again. Fallen is the great Babylon, which has given all the nations to drink from the wine of the wrath because of her fornication. John uses the same phrase of drinking wine and fornication in chapter 18, but only this time fornication is switched no longer to sexual immorality, but now luxury, wealth, money. In verse 3 of chapter 18, for all the nations have drunk of the wine of the passion of her immorality, her fornication. What is the result? And they have become rich by the wealth of her sensuality. So what is this Babylon? What is this fornication? It is to find extreme pleasure, sensual pleasure in money. In Revelation chapter 18, verse 9, again, when the kings of the earth who committed adultery with her and shared her luxury. What's going on? Fornication is equivalent to financial bliss. They are as happy with their money as they are when they have sexual relations. Extreme joy. Now, Babylon appears then to symbolically represent the worldly financial system where, if we only compromise our witness and cooperate with the demands of Babylon, then we will be financially rewarded. We see this in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And this is talking about the beast, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the name of its name. or the number of its name. So you cannot buy or sell unless you cooperate with Babylon, the beast. If you don't cooperate, you'll be poor. As it says in Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, I know your tribulation and your poverty. But John says, but you are rich. And the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. If the church remained a faithful witness of Jesus and refuses to cooperate with the demands of Babylon, the financial, worldly system, then Babylon has the power to make us poor. To maintain financial security in the book of Revelation necessarily meant confessing Caesar as Lord at the expense of denying Jesus as Lord. To say Jesus is Lord is to accept the certainty of losing money. In our day and time, no one is forcing us to say, Caesar is Lord, in order for us to get our paychecks. I want to say, Jesus is Lord? Jesus is Lord. They're not withholding our paychecks. But it works in subtle ways. In our money, it says, in God we trust, which is a lie. Because in America, we say, in money we trust. Money is our God. Materialism drives American culture. Success is defined in terms of how much money we have. The Lord Jesus, however, will vindicate the faithful witness of the Christians who joyfully choose Jesus over health and wealth by destroying the worldly financial system upon which all believers find their shelter and security. Babylon will most certainly fall. Wall Street will most certainly collapse. Our gold and silver will most certainly vanish. Our money will most certainly lose all value before Jesus returns. If the implosion of the entire worldly financial system is certain, then no rational person should take security in money. It's going to be gone. It's going to be destroyed. Fallen, fallen is Babylon. This is sure. It is a futile endeavor to trust and find our security in money. Fool's gold. All our homes and our monies and our cars and our planes and our yachts and our vacations and our retirement funds only appear to be like gold. But they are not real gold. They're fugazi, as they say in the East Coast. It's not real, it's a fake. They're not real because they will not last. They will fall inevitably. For this reason, anyone who continues to trust in money over Jesus, such a person must be irrational, must be insane. It's going to be destroyed. Why take security in it? For such a person to continue to do so, John calls them drunk out of their minds. Excuse me, as my papers here are. In Revelation chapter 14, verse 8, fallen, fallen is the great Babylon, which has given all the nations to drink from the wine of the wrath because of her fornication. Choosing money over Jesus is utterly irrational. One would have to be drunk to make such a senseless decision. Isaiah makes a similar point in chapter 29, describing idolaters, those who would treasure a wooden idol, those who would treasure a golden calf over the one who created all things. Such a person who would do that must be drunk out of their minds. As it says in Isaiah 29, verse 9, be delayed and wait, blind yourselves and be blind. They become drunk, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with a strong drink. So they're drunk, all right, for choosing Baal. They're drunk, all right, for choosing money over Yahweh. But it is not with alcohol. They're high, all right. It's not with marijuana or crystal meth, because they're not rational. They're not of sound mind. They must be out of their minds, like drunk people are. But they are drunk with financial pursuit. Isaiah chapter 4, verse 11, harlotry, wine, and new wine take away the understanding. My people consult their wooden idol. A spirit of harlotry has led them astray, and they have played the harlot, departing from their God. They become drunk. Why would you choose a wooden image over the one who created all the trees? It does not make sense. Why would you choose money made of paper over the one who created everything? It does not make sense. Why would you choose a home and a car over the one who created all homes and all cars? The heavens and the earth. Not only did He create them, but He will destroy them when He returns. To make such a decision, it's so baffling that you must be drunk out of your mind. The metaphor for drunkenness regarding idolatry in the book of Revelation should be clear by now. And we can put it in this way. The bartender is Babylon, and the bartender serves the alcohol of financial idolatry, and the drunken unbeliever is the one who continues to drink. And by drinking and drinking and drinking, whatever the bartender serves, they have become dull in their senses. Their reaction is no longer quick. They are no longer of sound mind. They've got to be drunk. They choose money over Jesus. Jeremiah 51 verses 7 to 8 says this, Babylon has been a golden cup in the hand of the Lord, intoxicating the whole earth. The great bartender, drink up, come on, drink. And unbelievers keep on chugging it down. The more you drink, the more your rational faculties leave you. And so you make the baffling decision. Money must be more important than Jesus. The result of such drunkenness is the wrath of God because they have faithlessly rejected the eternal gospel. So the fall of Babylon, the folly of Babylon, and finally the faithlessness of Babylon. They will be they will be judged for drunkenly rejecting the gospel. In light of the context, this is clear. In verse 6, holding the eternal gospel and preaching the gospel upon the ones dwelling upon the earth and upon every nation, tribe, and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, fear the God and give to him glory, because the hour of his judgment is come. And worship him, because he created the heaven and the earth and the sea and the fountain of waters. That's verse 7. Did they respond to the eternal gospel? Verse 8, fallen, fallen is the great Babylon, which has given all the nations to drink from the wine of the wrath because of her fornications. Did Babylon receive and embrace the eternal gospel? No. Stunningly, they said no. Why? They must be drunk. It's a clear choice. You have to respond to the gospel by believing in Jesus. God's wrath is coming. Repent. Believe in him. It's not if, but it's when. It is certain. Fallen, fallen. Tov, tov. Good, good. Die, die. You will surely die. It is certain. Fallen, fallen. Why would you reject the gospel? The only explanation is you must be drunk. You've got to be drunk to make such an irrational, senseless decision. As we draw to a close, I'd like to challenge you this morning with the following. Christ will most assuredly cause Babylon, which is the world's financial system, to fall. Fall and fallen before he returns, because money has become a source for or of idolatry. People take their security in money over Jesus. People find their joy in money over Jesus. People would leave the church, deny Jesus for a few more dollars in their bank account. John tells us this morning, you would have to be out of your mind drunk to choose money over Jesus. You are not rational. You are intoxicated. We should take away the keys to your car. You're not fit. Therefore, think rationally. Act soberly. Treasure Jesus above all things. Because Jesus, unlike money, lives, reigns forevermore. He will destroy the world's financial system before he returns. Why take security in it? Take your security in the one who destroys, the one who is king, the one who reigns forevermore. Fear God. Worship him, because he created all things. His wrath burns against those who reject this eternal gospel. Believe in Jesus. As I told you, I've never actually gotten drunk before. I've gotten buzzed a couple of times by going to those wine tasting things. I didn't know you're supposed to finish. I didn't know you're not supposed to finish it. I just kept on finishing. My face got all red. And I realize I cannot drive right now. Everything is slow. I feel warm inside. And, you know, I can feel the sensation of my fingertips. Like, what is going on? Never felt this before. Let's take a seat here under this tree and drink some water. Wait a couple of hours. And so we did. Because I knew I was not rational. I would not trust myself to drive. I will make wrong decisions at every turn. Even though I wasn't drunk, I was buzzed. So I'm not sinning. But the point is, people who reject Jesus is so baffling to us. Why? It's so obvious. Why would you do that? John tells us why. They are drunk. They're not rational. They can't think clearly. And it's up to us as a church to sober them up. To stop drinking from the alcohol of the worldly financial system, but to drink from the fountain of living waters in Jesus Christ. And they shall never thirst again. Let's bow our heads in prayer.